You get it, sir?
नहीं सर, आपका मेल अभी नहीं पहुंचा है।
मैं तो कर दिया था सुबह।
चलिए मैं देख लूंगा, आप देखते हैं उसको कैसे मैनेज करें।
चलो, in the meantime let me see if I can do something on it.
उसको रीफॉरवर्ड कर दीजिए अगर हो जाए तो।
Sir, can you try reading to my email address?
उसको उस पर ग्रुप में डाल दीजिए योगिता।
Yes sir, yes, I'll do that.
पॉल साहब, shall we start? It's around 53 participants so far.
ठीक है सर,
है ना? So just give me a few minutes and we are starting, है ना? Within 2-3 minutes. Okay.
ये कौन सी मेल पे NIDM आउटरीच पे भेजना सर? हेलो,
जी जी बताइए।
मैं दोबारा मेल फॉरवर्ड कर देता हूँ, NIDM आउटरीच।
नहीं उस पे नहीं।
कौन से पे?
अली या आपके पास होगा मेरा, आमिर डालिए, उसमें आ जाएगा।
अच्छा ओके, ठीक है।
हाँ, वो आपने आउटरीच वाले पे भेज दिया होगा।
हाँ, उस पे भेज दिया था, जिससे आया था ना मुझे, उस पे भेज दिया।
हाँ।
ये कौन सा आपका है?
अली खान आमिर होगा या amir.undp होगा?
नहीं, दूसरा बोलो।
amir.undp@gmail.com. So let's start, sir. Yogita, shall we start? So dear friends, we are meeting today for a very important discussion, and the topic of discussion is urban fire mitigation. Yogita, you have to unmute all, accept the speakers or accept me. There is a lot of disturbances coming. So dear friends, we are going to discuss today urban fire risk mitigation. And as you know that we are approaching this winter season when maximum fires, at least in residential areas, commercial areas, do take place. And you know, fires are really posing a big challenge to all of us. They are impacting our lives and livelihoods, no doubt about this. And you know that fires are impacting almost all uses of our land use planning, from residential to commercial to industrial to another recreational, anything. And you take the name and you will find the example of the fire has taken place, like fire in official buildings, office buildings, institutional buildings like Vigyan Bhavan fire, recreational building like Upar fire. Critical infrastructure is also coming into that fold, and we have large number of fires which has taken place in hospitals, and this is the season again when fires are taking place all over. Then fires in schools are also taking place. As I told, educational, large number of examples are there. We had that big fire in Surat last year, and we know that how fires are impacting. Go to industrial areas, we can remember that Jaipur fire. So the entire urban scenario is like that we are prone to almost in every use for fire. And we were discussing earlier to that as well, and in the previous seminar as well, that the thing is that fires can be mitigated, and mitigated at local level very easily. So ball is, in my opinion, is in our court, and we have to definitely look for fire risk mitigation at individual level. And prior to starting this formally, we were discussing with Professor Paul and myself that local community need to be involved. And what is the issue is that when fire is taking place, a lot of health injuries and health related issues are coming up, and we can counter those as well. So what we need to do is that, as I told, there are fires almost in everything, in hotel as well in Delhi, that Arpit Palace last year. So you take the name, and you will find the fire. Arpit Palace fire is a classical example. We will discuss about that as well. Then other examples will also be discussed. But the issue is that why fires are taking place. So R.C. Sharma Saab is going to talk about that. And you know that fires are definitely posing a big challenge to us, to the built environment at national level. And it's not only Delhi or the North India, entire urban setting is prone to fires. And when we talk about fires, as we were discussing earlier, fires are always happening in the neighbor's house. मेरे पड़ोसी के घर में आग लगती है, मेरे घर में कभी नहीं पहुंचती है. So we have to break this syndrome, and we have to be prepared for that. And preparedness is not very costly and very cost intensive. So we have to invest those minimum money as well as our efforts for making our lives fire safe at individual level. So as I told, we are definitely lacking in creating awareness, appropriate level of awareness among the masses. Then we are many people. I was studying that, reading that case study from Arpit Palace fire, and you know that people are not aware in day-to-day life that what to do and what not to do during a fire. So these are some of the basic challenges which we have to do. Then the last, that most important is our attitudinal problem. We don't consider fire as a major hazard. When we talk about fire होती भी रहती है और हम उसको seriously लेते भी नहीं. This is the basic issue. So and then what is I doubt that in our households we are having those firefighting equipments, that fire extinguisher, fireballs, or emergency escape routes available for in case of fire to come out of the buildings. So these are some of the challenges which we are going to discuss about that. Then bigger level, the building bylaws. Are we thinking about fire while constructing our buildings as at least the common man? Then role of professional planners when they are providing those professional services. Professor Paul is definitely going to touch about those aspects, that how architects are going to play a big role. But again, the question is that how many of us are approaching those architects for designing our houses? So unless we are taking those things into our stride, we can't control the impact of fires at our day-to-day affairs. So this is the scenario which we have to look into. And with this brief introduction, I request Yogita to introduce the three speakers of the webinar. Our executive director is supposed to join, but due to his busy schedule, he has just communicated his best wishes for the successful success of this program. And with this, I hand over to Yogita, please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all the participants. For this program, we have our three eminent speakers: Professor V.K. Paul from SPA Delhi, Dr. Jugal Kishore from Safdarjung Hospital, and Shri R.C. Sharma, who was a former Delhi Chief Fire Service. So, with this, I would like to say that all the participants, that all the three speakers present here are connected with their knowledge and their experience in the fire urban safety areas, and hence you will all be benefiting greatly from this. So I would like to request first, shall we start with VK Sharma, Paul sir, first?
Let me add, Professor VK Paul is an eminent professional working in this area for quite some time. He is currently the Dean Planning and Development at School of Planning and Architecture. He has been serving to School of Planning and Architecture for ages, and he is one of the well-known professional in this area. So Professor Paul Saab has been teaching at SPA in the Department of Building Engineering and Management for quite some time, for long inning at SPA, and he is one of the most eminent professional who has worked in this area, and he has been represented in representative of various committees of Government of India, Government of Delhi level, and I can't find a better resource person than him to talk about, to take this stride into this thing. So Professor Paul Saab, this is your turn to take us to some causes and consequences of fires in urban areas, and you know what you as we were discussing, you are the best person to guide us and take us through this journey, how to mitigate the impact of fires in urban areas, at least because you are shaping those minds at national level and doing for quite some time. So this is your turn, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Amir. It's a pleasure always sharing thoughts on fire safety related issues with the other colleagues everywhere. I think my screen is visible now.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, good, great. So, my warm welcome and good morning to all the participants and my other speaker colleagues. I mean, I think I don't know how I ended up in discussing this area of fire safety in my life. Probably nobody was interested, so I was asked to kind of start taking classes on this, and eventually I fell in the wrong company of firemen who started, telling me all the scary things about fire. So I got interested in that, and Mr. Sharma and his other colleagues in the fire department, they have been, the mentors, advisors, and our brainstorming people with whom we have developed our own understanding. So, then we gradually fell into this the fire, and then that's how we have been looking at. What I would like to basically highlight the problems in the urban context, which is slightly different from a very specialized area of life and fire safety, as the boards, etc., talk about. I will try to discuss some problems that are associated with the at an urban context. When we try to distinguish urban context from the so-called the rural or the countryside situation, we have some advantages here. They have some disadvantages there. The advantage in the countryside setting, to my mind, one is that you are not hard pressed on the real estate, and therefore, for the same function, for the same kind of activity happening in your building, be that house or a residential accommodation or dwelling, you have a larger area. I mean, and therefore the fire load density tends to be far lesser. Whereas for the same function, when we come to the urban settings, more fire load is packed in the same area, and therefore probability of the fire happening starts increasing. In the urban setting, we have advantages of fire departments, whereas in the countryside, we don't have that kind of advantage. But we also have an advantage of probably having ample water available, and the house is not attached to one another, probably some advantages. But the urban fires they tend to become more and more complex. with some regulations happening and some problems that the good urbanization itself creates. For example, the traffic and the movement that becomes a big problem. So urban fires tend to be, I tend to kind of look at in a different way. Then here we have a very diverse building typology, and therefore the loss potential for different kind of buildings, they call for a greater strategy in planning. And here the role of professionals, as we understand, is very, very important. Generally, in our the society or the building professionals, and I mean, the thinking is that the whatever is given in the code is the last word on fire safety. But I say that it is not the last word as far as fire safety is concerned. It is as last word as far as the compliance and the statutory requirement and the regulation is concerned. But the fire safety is everybody's responsibility. I may or may not be within the ambit of the code or a regulation, but it is everybody's responsible. And that's where there is a paradox that we depend on the code, but the moment people who are outside the periphery of the code and statutory requirements, they continue to be vulnerable. And that's where in urban areas we have a big problem. Now, I tend to divide this whole issue in three different parts. Life safety is essentially where the people need to be evacuated safely, and it's core of our National Building Code 2016, and more practically all codes would talk about that. The second I tend to look at in terms is a fire safety in building, which looks at the damage to the building, and it again partly NBC also covers, but primary purpose there is the people. As far as the fire safety in building and the risk to prevent the contents and the processes not to get affected in the buildings is that it's related to the kind of function that is happening. For example, in a hospital, no matter what happens, people are important, but the process that continues inside the hospital is sacrosanct. It continues to work irrespective of whether fire is in a small area or the smoke can be a problem. But the function is paramount. Whereas typically in a small house beyond a stage, people are safe. Thank God we are safe. So we can limit our thinking like that. Whereas in case of urban context fire safety, I would like to see it in terms of the peculiarities that exist, availability and non-availability of firefighting resources, and the collective responsibility of the society, public sensitization, and of course the reality of multi-disaster, which I don't rule out in an urban context. So urban context fire safety is a slightly oblique fire safety specialization, wherein it is not an individual, it's a large society, governance, and the planning, everything gets embroiled, and that renders actually life safety and fire safety in buildings very, very difficult to work. Looking at the vulnerabilities, this is what I discussed earlier also in the presentation. We have something like 60,000 people dying every year. Every fifth fire in the world is from India, and 2.5 times fire risk we have as compared to our neighbors, China, that we very often try to refer to. And in 2018, a total of 13,000 cases of fire accidents were reported. So practically, the occurrence of fire incidents is so very common. And we see the residential occupancies, they continue to be unsafe for more than half. Unfortunately, most of these residential occupancies in urban areas, they don't even come within the ambit of the code or a statutory requirement. Most of the casualty, if I understand, Mr. Sharma would endorse later, that they happen in these kind of residential isolated homes. And we will spend so much of our time on implementation of it. Okay, we do that. But We don't have that kind of safeguard in the residential accommodation or the majority of the places where the fires are taking place. In terms of life safety, we have the Govt defined it as a personal hazard. Of course, when we look at the kind of problem in urban context, this becomes more of a theory, very limited application, because where maximum fires and maximum people are dying, maybe this kind of a discourse doesn't apply there. Looking at the kind of the great strengths that we have in our codes, we have a National Building Code, and if you look at the structure of National Building Code, well, fairly elaborate. Even if we compare it with NAPA 101, which is probably top of the line, we still are one of the best. But why is it that India continues to have so many casualties and so many problems? That means the problem lies somewhere else, or that area where problem happens, we not even considers that to be important. Another thing which I have highlighted before and I would like to underline once again is that we have some kind of a deliberate attempt to circumvent the codal provisions. So we have 15 meters and above codal requirement, but we will tend to make buildings which are 14.5 meters, and half meter we adjust here and there, and we say that the building has become safe. I think these kind of attitudes we have to change. If you have to make a building safe, you must make a building safe by all means, and not try to circumvent the code. And I have a great concern that why, if there is a fuzzy area where the code applies, then why can't we pick up the better of the two, and why do we have to the lower? Which means that somewhere we don't have an attitude for that kind of thing. Now, the two things are important for us. One is the fire protection, something that happens after the fire, and what happens before the fire. Now, our focus should actually be on the prevention, whereas planning, design, egresses, smoke control, etc., they should be important rather than firefighting later on. Of course, that is important, but professionals play a role in prevention, etc. Now, I have about 7.5 minutes here. I will specifically focus now on the problem of urban areas, and I'll try to share my own thoughts how we can do a little better here. We have urban districts, urban low-rise residential colonies like New Friends Colony, Greater Kailash, or something like that, or urban mixed developments where there are some hotels coming up, in the residential areas, or some offices have also come up, and or we have old town areas like Shahjahanabad or the Chandni areas and urban slums. So from my urban perspective, these 5 species are 5 different challenges, and each one of them has their own peculiarity to create problems and make sure that whatever good works we are doing in the courts and other things, it can all be rendered useless. So we need to look at these kind of things, and we understand that each one of them can have a problem. So typically in each of these 5 areas, as we see, we have our hands are tied because we have a limited firefighting resources. We all know that we need something like 8,000 plus fire stations or whatever people or whatever, and we have about 1/3 of that available. Uncontrolled development is happening everywhere. There's nothing that we can do, and we are overwhelmed by whenever something goes wrong. Congestion makes our access to the building fire resources, firefighting resources that we have, they get kind of ineffective. Overloading of electrical system everywhere. We see that is lack of electrical system, be that Khan Market or Chandni Chowk. Everywhere, if you go to the back of these market areas, you will find these kind of things as a reality. And I don't know which code and something that can be there to correct limited applicability of the statutory provision, as I said, and poor implementation and monitoring because the number of people are less and the poor awareness of the people. Now, looking at these kind of things, we've been looking at how we can make things better, and of course we have problems where buildings will have some kind of one will start affecting the other one, or there are in one we have oxygen cylinder right on the face of the hospital. something goes wrong, it will create multiple hazards, in one emergency situation itself. So multi-disaster is a reality, and I would be surprised that fire itself can be a trigger. We've been lucky so far, but I mean, if you see the right-hand side picture, if the building like this collapses, it was way back in Hyderabad, Ahmedabad. So if this building collapses like this, and all your PNG, CNG, apparatus goes haywire, I mean, it can create multiple problems. That also is a reality. Probably we need to look at that also in terms of urban context. Now, coming to the few specific areas where we can make some sense. One, my understanding is that we cannot put the entire city or entire urban area in one big basket. We need to see by some GIS technology. When we have GIS technology, we have Google, which will tell you everything. Why can't we map where are the high risk areas, and where we have high risk, maybe we can start looking at our resources, the type of community, type of engagements, but we need to map our resources versus the risk on some kind of a GIS and look at the planning. And of course, where we need volunteers and some SOPs and good practices, etc. So this is something we can as an agenda we can look at. But of course, I would like to put the mapping as risks in an urban area very, very much on top of the ladder. Then coming to the second big takeaway, which I would like to highlight today, is that of provision of smoke alarms in the buildings, residential, isolated, individual houses, building, either your friends colony, my house, your house, Taimur Nagar, or any Hyderabad, or any of these urban, areas where our resources cannot even reach. Now, if we look at how the better societies looked at in 1967, America, picked up the use of smoke alarm systems in every house, and they expanded it to houses by the 70s. Today, this kind of technology is available everywhere. It is 500, 600 rupees. Why can't we, as a campaign, start putting them in these houses? Do we need a code? If I need to protect myself, why do we need a code? Why can't we make it as a program and a campaign? In 2010, 2014, America started putting sprinklers in the residentials. What great technology is required? Why can't we start doing it? And they can do it. Why can't we do it? How the entire effort is? And what US has reported is that death rate per 1,000 reported fires was 87% lesser in buildings. So if we have lesser resources, then deviate and do something else. So why are we not waking up to the reality? And for that, let me present to you a small scheme, which I have very consciously well worked out with my colleagues who work on the fire consulting, etc. And again, I would request Mr. Sharma to pay attention and endorse if he considers it valid. Now, this is a typical scheme which has all the details that are required to implement sprinklers, the sprinkler pendant and the other type, and the gas detection system, and it is connected to our domestic water tank. And we just with a small half a horsepower Tullu pump, I can get enough pressure even if I don't get on the top floor. In fact, on the lower floors, I don't even need that small half a horsepower pump which can give me pressure. And all the walls arrangement, whether it's the floor switch, shut-off wall, non-return wall, pressure pickup pump, or main distribution, I connect this gas detection in the kitchen with the main distribution. The moment there is a gas in the kitchen, the main distribution board will shut off my power in the affected residential unit. And if I can give a guarantee that if I do this in my house, in a 3-bedroom house, which I'm presenting here, even if God forbid there is a fire, it will be controlled in no time, much before even fire department starts moving in fact from half the way they can be told, thank you very much, you can go home. It is worked on it, so it's that reliable. And imagine, I have done a detailed inventory of items that would be required for a 3-bedroom dwelling unit or a home or a house, be that new friends colony or I'll just take 2 minutes to wind up my case here. Be that new friends colony or an urban village, if I have to serve my 3 bedrooms and a kitchen with a gas detection leak, using overhead tank with all the automatic control devices that I'm showing here. So this is the detailed inventory of things which I have checked out with my own people. This is a BOQ, and it costs per dwelling unit for a 2-bedroom house less than 20,000 rupees. A television set costs 40,000 rupees. A cell phone costs 60,000 rupees. I don't know how many times we change it and we don't even bother about 20,000 rupees. And I can assure you, if this system doesn't work, I will never touch the fire safety as a subject. Why can't we do it? And why can this be an owner-driven initiative rather than the code or authority-driven initiative? हम अपने घर में एक कैमरा लगाते हैं तो कोई Home Department थोड़ी कहता है कैमरा लगाइए. So why can't this be an owner-driven initiative? But the moment we make it as a codal requirement or something, somebody will say this pipe from that person, this code for that. These were the items which are highlighted here. These are the items available in the normal hardware store in my colony, and I just use it. It gives me a flasher, fire alarm with a hooter and a flasher. It gives me sprinklers, 3-4 sprinklers. I'm using all the domestic pipe. Somebody will say, why CPVC pipe and why not metal? So what? If it's a CPVC pipe, if it burns, it'll only throw water and it is not going to do any disaster. Therefore, my humble submission is if we can think of something like this and maybe we can pick it up as an NIDM, we can pick up a more detailed study to propagate it as owner-driven as initiative for 20,000. Great achievement. The other thing is I mentioned about the urban preparedness, wherein this GIS mapping, etc., and identifying the risks, that can be done. But that is more at a macro level. And another thing which I want to, this is my last slide, I want to mention here is if you really want to make use of it, I have to say that we have to create an awareness, but not a fire drill. Fire drill is for something very specific for a function. Whereas awareness and community engagement and efficacy of assessment, community engagement, wherein with the colony local people, if it is say Taimur Nagar, I connect with the Panchayat of Taimur Nagar. We talk to them. We see how culture of fire safety can be created. Well, that is an absolutely different paradigm from the fire drill, where of course that is required, but that is for a separate purpose. So we have to go away from the drill paradigm into community engagement and assess and how effective communities have worked. All over the world, communities are the only way to move forward for urban problems. And why in fire we are not able to do it? It is doable and something that must be taken up. And finally, with these three issues of GIS mapping and propagating sprinklers and smoke detection in a big way, and not, just take an initiative of worth about 20,000. Remember, in 20,000, my calculation, GST is included. And these are the prevailing prices. I have checked up with all my colleagues, and this is, an absolutely working model. So, and the third one is community. My submission is that we should be able to, reduce the urban fire risk to a great extent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for his nice and quite elaborated presentation. We have some questions, but we will take towards the end. I hope you will stay back till the end.
Yes, I am, yes, sir.
Because we need definitely your interventions at later stage. So, Yogita, you can take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the great presentation, sir. As you said, the culture of fire safety should be created and it should be owner driven. Initiative should be taken and personal initiatives are must for this. Let me introduce the second panelist for the session, Dr. Jugal Kishore, sir. So, Dr. Jugal Kishore, sir, I welcome you. He is a professor and head Department of Community Medicine, VMCC, and Safdarjung Hospital.
Yogita, Jugal Kishore Saab has to come at the end.
Okay,
Jugal
sir.
Kishore Saab, are you okay? Because we planned towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
So
RC Sharma Saab has to come.
Okay, sir. So you have the presentation, sir. So I can start with it.
RC Sharma Saab, are you okay? Shall we start? You have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute. Yeah. Shall we start, Sharma Saab?
We can start.
Sharma Saab, Shri RC Sharma Saab is former director of Delhi Fire Services, and he has been a very, very seasoned professional working in this area for ages, no doubt about this. And he has been instrumental in doing almost everything. And when he was the fire chief in Delhi as director, so he has revolutionized the fire services. And under his stewardship, fire services in Delhi has many leaps and grown like anything. So we will discuss about all these things, and he's basically what I remember most about Sharma Saab is his contribution in managing the Upar fire, and always pleasure to listen your experiences of fire management, sir, because उसमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है हर बार जब भी आप बताते हैं. So it's always a pleasure to listen to you. So with this brief introduction, and I think you don't require a detailed introduction. Most of the people are aware about you. So with this brief introduction, I request you to take over. And in the meantime, I'm putting your presentation as well.
Yeah, thank you, Amasa.
Yogita, you have to give sharing rights to me.
I think I too was having it. Can I share it from here?
You can try. If you are not able to.
Amit, sir,
You
you
just
are.
need to share my screen. You can give to Sharma Saab first, Yogita.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sharma, sir, you are the presenter.
Is it coming?
No, sir. Not
No, you start again. Share.
Okay, it's come.
No, not yet. Open the presentation and share your screen.
Okay. Okay, you can do it from there. I think it's something.
Okay. Then Yogita, give it to me, back to me.
Yes, sir.
So it's there, Sharma Saab.
No, sir. It's get uploaded.
See, I can't see it. Your presentation is not there yet. It is coming. You are starting to. Here it's come. Okay. Okay, there. Next, please. Yes. Well, I think Dr. Paul has really gone into details of what are the fire safety norms, what are the areas requiring a lot of attention by all of us. And I would not like to repeat all those things. I'll try to confine my talk to my experiences, and wherein those things, whichever is explained by Dr. Paul, is going to be more relevant. So I'll try to just explain that way so that it's more clear from that angle. Now, when we talk about the fire safety in urban context, well, when we say Delhi, how much it is urban? I mean, urban is in a way whatever is new things, new buildings, new developments are coming up. But it's got a lot of things which is really not really. One is organized, one is unorganized. Unorganized is something like that. You have got industrial areas, you have got certain areas which, like even Karol Bagh and these areas, they were all planned initially. But then we have got a lot of additions after that. So things have been added and they're expanding like uncontrolled. So the uncontrolled and unorganized sector, which is causing more problems than the organized sector. So when we talk urban fires, urban means we normally accept that high-rise buildings, they are the urban things. But if we really, I mean, you find that when we go into the statistics, maybe nearly about maybe 100 odd calls are there in the high-rise buildings in Delhi per year. And in that 100 also, we don't get many people getting injured or dying, except maybe that you had some 1 or 2 incidents there, like Upar incident, other things. But we are not having many people, many fires and many people getting affected. Reason could be that these are built as per certain design structure capabilities going into the system. And also that they do have a lot of fire safety facilities provided there, alarm and other firefighting facilities. So people are also given some sort of training and normally drills are conducted time and again. So that is probably helping that things are not happening because we do have enough planned fire prevention. People are having some awareness in that those areas, and things, if they are happening, they are controlled well in time without getting a big fire. So that is one area where I don't think we do have any problems, because whatever new is coming in that sector, that will be having all the facilities as per the building bylaws, as per the National Building Code. That is being ensured by the fire service. There is no problem on that count. So we never had a problem on that count, and we are not going to have problem on that count in future also. So that is one area. We are not, as a fire officer, firefighter, we are not bothered much on those areas which are coming up in future. But unorganized sector is something where things are not, they were earlier low-rise buildings like 2.5 floors, 3.5 floors, and they were well within 15 meters. Then we added 1 or 2 floors, I mean, clandestinely, and it is maybe on Saturdays and Sundays, and there is no control on these things. So that this has led buildings which are low-rise buildings having the small stairs or single staircase turning into high-rise buildings, which normally occupancy is increased, fire load is increased, use of electricity is increased. So from that angle, these become slightly hazardous. And if something goes wrong, people will not be able to come out that easily because of single staircase, smaller staircase, and no alternate means of escape, and high fire load. So that is the one area which is difficult to be controlled. And third one, which is basically, we saw, Dr. Paul has mentioned unauthorized colonies and unauthorized construction where there is nothing organized, and it's all just somebody has started developing a colony, it is developed, hardly any streets enough for the movement of fire engines, no lanes for movement of fire engines, and no firefighting facilities, no fire hydrants. So, and there again, the worst part is that building construction is something not very even strong enough to stand even in during the normally rainy season, or if we do have certain earthquake and that situation, we are in zone 4. So things there can be very difficult. And if there is a fire, such buildings are again prone to collapse very quickly. And if fire brigade has to respond to fire call in these areas, their life is also at risk, because entering such a building which is on fire can collapse anytime is really something very difficult job to be done by fire department. So these are the 3 areas which, I mean, in an urban context, we have to deal with, in spite of the fact that they're not really urban in that sense. So fire incident, when we go, let me go to the presentation quickly, and I'll try to explain a little more wherever we have got certain examples coming. So now this is what, I mean, fire is possible anywhere and everywhere where we have combustible materials and source of ignition. Anything that could be, so there fire can happen. And electricity, as you know, has been one of the major. Now we find that in Delhi, especially, there are some open wires and then metal wires. They are being changed into cables. So probably that will reduce the risk of starting fire to some extent. But yes, that is still a big risk. Severity and spread of fire will depend on the internal fire load. How much is the things to burn? That is one area we built-in protection facilities can help in timely intervention, and probably that is what is required. So it is the organized sector, things are available, but unauthorized sector, unorganized sector, nothing is there. So there we have more chance of loss of life and property. Next, please. Now these are some of the incidents we have been quoting in the recent past where many people have died. MRI Hospital, Kolkata, 93 people died. Now, when we go into the cause of fire and all, that fire was in a basement where lot of material was lying. And because of improper compartmentation and the fire and smoke spread to the rest of the building. And then it led to so many people trapped, and 93 of them died. Most of them due to getting affected by the smoke and the gases from the fire. So that being the reason, so whenever there is a fire, we talk about fire, we talk about the smoke also. We have to talk about it. So if smoke is killing so many people, can we manage the smoke in a proper way? Can we design a building properly? So that is the most important factor. Everything is indicated, is given in our National Building Code. We are following National Building Code, and every building authorities, municipalities, they do have their building bylaws. So naturally things are included there. But how sincerely we are following that is the most important factor. Without total fire, 37 people died, all of them because of smoke inhalation again. Fire was again in the basement, and smoke traveled through the shafts, electrical shaft or some other shafts, vertically into other floors. And people, they tried to get out. One of the fire exits was found locked. It was a good, well-designed exit at the end of the corridor, but it was kept locked because of security reasons. So people could not go back to their rooms, and they had to be facing the smoke in the corridors, and then they died. So this upper Upar Cinema is one of the place where I myself was there for the firefighting and rescue all throughout, and the plane was removed from there. Here again, everybody died because of smoke inhalation. And here, if we just talk about the urban, in the fire safety in urban context, the people were able-bodied, most of them. Lower stall, they got out without any problem. It was only the upper stall people. Those were coming through the stairs. They came down and somebody said, fire, fire, go back, and they went back. And many of them locked in the toilets, in the fire behind the balcony. And there they remained, thinking that they will be staying there if the fire could be controlled quickly. Well, that did not happen in this case because the traffic problem in the evening around say 5 o'clock. And then fire brigade took about 12 minutes because the distance was that much and condition was very bad. And in 10-12 minutes, you can understand when transformer is on fire, thick smoke is coming, then that is a really killing type of arrangement. So there, because if it, I mean, it was bad luck that it was a high traffic time in the evening, 5 o'clock, and a month of June or so. So that becomes very, very difficult. And the delay, even 12 minutes in calling the fire department, another 5-7 minutes in calling the fire department, and 12 minutes in reaching that place. That caused that, I mean, more smoke effect onto the people who were there. So probably all these factors together, they led to all these things, and people could not escape. They tried to stay back. Many of them came down. Here comes the training and awareness, what to do, what not to do. That also comes here. Lal Kuan, Delhi, again 57 people died. Again a fire where suddenly people were trapped inside and they could not get out. Bhavana factory fire. The factory people were staying on the upper floors. Fire started at lower area. They could not get out. They could not jump out. This is again the problem. Arpit hotel fire. It happened in the night, and probably the people they could not, because the staircase was there. But again, they could not go to the terrace. Itself was on fire because it was a temporary arrangement. So here is means of escape is the bigger thing, and then smoke. Can we manage smoke, and can people escape? Do they have exactly enough number of means of escape basically? and these things have to be built in. So then only they can get out probably. Anaj Mandi, Rani Jhansi Road, there was a 43 people died in that fire also. So in these, most of the places, people died because of smoke inhalation. Next, please. Whatever might be the cause of fire, the common factor that in almost all the lives were lost due to smoke inhalation, not due to burns. So that is what. So when we talk about fire safety or life safety, then the smoke management cannot be done by the people inside the building when their building is already built. So it is to be done something by the architect, by the engineers, those who are planning the building, and they have to think in terms of having this built-in arrangement and having a proper walls, proper segregation, compartmentation, so that people are not affected in other areas except the floor or the room where fire is there. The smoke is confined to that area, that room probably, number one. Then it may spill out to the corridor, then only on that floor. It should not be able to go to the other floors. Then probably the problem will not be that much. And it is clear that the smoke is the main killer, and smoke control management is a very, in this every occupancy needs to be given top priority. If we do this, means of escape and smoke management, probably I think about 80-90% job is done so far as life and life safety is concerned. Next, please. So that's what is the same thing again. I'm trying to impress upon the major area which is responsible for life safety, and if we are taking care of these things, of course, this again we go back to building and those areas. Please like this. So every fire generates heat and smoke, and is a normal process. If it's not vented out, we get into this problem. Timely venting of smoke and heat can make a life safety very easy for the people who are trapped, and even for the firemen who have to enter the building to fight fire or to rescue. Next, please. Now, these some of the cases I'm talking about: venting of preventing fire split. The Bombay warehouse in Okla. In 2010, in the last year of my service, there was a big fire there and a serious fire. So there was a huge, long store, 500-meter long, about 35-meter wide, 100-kilometer long. And probably fire was there. It had about some 26 odd gates in a row. Entry on one side and exit on the other side, where the things were loaded into the containers, etc. So now fire spread started in third door, near third door, and spread to almost half of the go down. So that there was no smoke venting, and that was the reason that fire spread horizontally to whole of the almost half of the go down. So if that simple ventilation provided at the ceiling level could have avoided it. Now, we don't think in terms of that to be that important. Recently, study in the Kiwi, that New Zealand, that has shown that a story for 8 million pounds loss was there in Wellington, New Zealand, in April 2014, and it's found the need for ventilation to the tactical consideration to prevent spread of fire. Now, this tactical thing is when a fire is already on and we want to take action to really control the fire and fight the fire. So that tactical action considerations we discuss, and that is possible only if they are already built into the facilities. Otherwise, you can't create breaking open the ventilation or some maybe ceiling is just very difficult. So we can't do that. So built-in facilities like that have to be there. Next, please. Possibility of smoke venting by fire service as tactical operation. Well, it is not, as I mentioned to you earlier, that it is not feasible when we simply go on a fire and then try to look for these areas. If these things are built into the system, possibly yes, otherwise not. So this is to be discussed at when the building is being planned and constructed, then we have to have all these facilities, then only we can. Some of the fire service in the country have the portable smoke exhaust or blower units. Now, this again, they say, when we talk about smoke management, they say we do have a smoke management blower or an exhaust. Well, that is how to install it at the right place, how to reach that right place. It is very difficult. So that may be available, some of the facilities with the people, but it's not really possible to use. Maybe these things could be used somewhere like a staircase is full of smoke. Probably you blow it from the ground level, some fresh air into that, and you are able to open a vent into the staircase at the ceiling level. then we can push the smoke above. Otherwise, it may be very difficult to really use that portable thing. Fire service may not be able to make use of these for want of proper access and possibility of not going in the place. Next, please. Educating architect about the need of built-in safety in the building's design. Well, this is what I have been talking about. Now, architects, if they think these terms in their mind, that this is going to be the requirement, and building design, beauty of the building, maybe you have got how much you're saving light. Nowadays, green building concept is there. Okay, we may do everything else, but in the same green building concept, this part also is to be included as a part of built-in facilities. If that is, I think the green building concept must have this also. If this is not included, then whatever smoke is being generated, we cannot take it, we cannot direct it outside the building, we cannot vent it out. In that case, it will spread in the building. That means more loss of light, and fire will also spread, more spread of property, and more generation of smoke. When we are talking about green buildings, that we don't generate, don't use more power, electricity, and we use minimum electricity. So that way, less water is used. In that context, if a fire happens, then we have to use a lot of water for firefighting, a lot of pollution due to smoke, a lot of loss of property. So that should form as a part of the green building in that way. So architects need to be educated in the real sense. I mean, practical orientation has to be there for them. That they should, if they understand, I'm sure things can be very, very well designed into the system. Next.
सर थोड़ा जल्दी करना पड़ेगा.
Okay, I'll go through quickly. Fire alarm suppression system. Well, these are the two facilities Dr. Paul has already mentioned. Alarm is there. You will get to know about it, but then you have to act. We have to get out of the building, make an announcement, and see that we leave the building, doors closed, and get out, and everybody else is informed what they should do. Start firefighting operation by the available firefighting facilities, and the fire station available next door may not be that useful, because built-in facilities are much more better, because they are faster, they are ample supply for 4, 5, 10 hours, but a fireman has got water only for 2.5 minutes. So we have to be depending more on built-in facility. That is more important. Next, please. Sprinkler as life property saver. I think Dr. Paul has mentioned already this thing, that sprinkler, some devices fitted in the ceiling level. Almost every 10 square meter will be covered by one sprinkler. Gravity operation also is good enough where we don't have anything. And that will, one thing will be useful is that it will not fire service people life in danger if this facility is provided. Fire will be confined to the area of location where it started. It will not spread to rest of the building. So this is one of the best property saver, you can say. And fire will not spread. And fire brigade people, they need to connect their hose at the ground level internet, so that the water will fall exactly onto the seat of fire. Next, please. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. We have certain examples, like we had fire in these buildings: sales tax building, secretariat building, Delhi government, Palika Bazaar underground shopping center, CP or Taj Palace Hotel. Then fire remained confined to the room of origin. So that means sprinkler worked, and there was no problem on that account. And this is a system which doesn't need much of maintenance, so long as what is available in the Paris tank. Next, please. That's what we are talking about many times when we talk about firefighting, how effective is fire brigade, how many ladders you have. Well, these are okay, but they are not the solution for firefighting. They may be useful once in a way where access is there and we are able to get in time. The glass facade building, which is difficult to break, glass is difficult to break, we cannot use these facilities. So we have to depend on built-in facilities. That is, I want to convey from this particular slide. Next, please. I'll just take 3 minutes to explain that. It's a Vigyan Bhavan fire. We will all will see that it's a huge historic building in that sense. The fire is burning. The fire in the corner towards us, where one of the first ladder is, the man is in the cage. So he's fighting fire, throwing water on the terrace, which is burning because of coal tar felting on for the weatherproofing. Fires in the corner room on the second floor, which doesn't have any ventilation. All the windows are sealed. So that was the main reason that fire spread to all of this thing and could not be controlled in time. If there was a venting of smoke, this would not have happened. Next, please. This is the left side, 3 windows of the room or hall, which would have got on fire. Smoke is coming from other 3 windows, which is not on fire. And we are throwing water into the smoke because this is the only place they can enter. Other people are trying to enter from the other side, but in the smoke, sorry, we cannot take out the photograph. Next, please. Well, this is the situation after some more time when all the burning gases, they are coming out and they're burning here where gas is coming out. And you see the white smoke because water is changing that into turning into steam, and you see the white smoke. Otherwise, only a black smoke. Next, please. This is the scene of the terrace, thick black smoke because of tar felting. Next. And whatever water we use there, it is all wastage of water. Nothing was going for being used for firefighting. This is the main hall, which caught fire after 7 hours of the fire in the other hall. And this 20 feet high roof ceiling. Next, please. This is the place, this is the connection, other hall on the other side to the main hall. This is the side of main hall, which you saw the earlier slide where the complete roof was collapsed. So this is the place where the smoke on hot gases traveled from other side to this side. And that filled the main hall and the false ceiling area, which caught fire subsequently. So now this is the compartmentation. If this was sealed, we could have separate venting or smoke management or heat arrangement or cooling for this part and separate for the other part. This would not have happened. So here air conditioning, air cooling, separate for separate building or occupancy is something very important. Next, please. This is the roof which remained intact also because water was being thrown onto this. So otherwise, if this could collapse initially, this is the roof where the fire happened in the beginning. So this remained intact. If this could break open, then probably hot thrown out and fire could not spread to other areas. Next, please. Okay, conclusion. I already mentioned everything. Smoke is the biggest killer. We have to take it. Protection means of escape are essential. Internal means of escape are most dependable. We can't depend on external things. Aerial landing platforms or helicopters, people say, well, this is maybe used in certain cases, maybe very high-rise building, ultra high-rise building, which are more than about 200 meters or so. But on the 80, 90 meter building, that may be difficult because downdraft of the helicopters will cause a problem. We have seen experience in the Gokala Tower earlier. Sprinkler is possibly the best automatic fire suppression system. I think that's the one. Last one more slide. That's all. Thank you very much. I think there's not any questions or any suggestions. We'll have it after this.
So thank you so much, Sharma Sahab. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. I'm not sure about others, but definitely it gives a lot of insights. So Yogita, are we going to Jugal Kishore sir?
Yes, sir. Panelists, please.
Are we there?
Kishore sir.
Huh?
Kishore sir, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay. So
Yeah.
let me continue with the your brief bio. So as I said, head, and now you are also you are also currently working as a vice president of Indian Association of Epidemiologists and Secretary General of Indian Association of Adolescent Health. You are also the editor-in-chief, International Journal of Preventive, Curative and Community Medicine, and managing editor of Epidemiology International. In today's session, Dr. Jugal Kishore sir will be highlighting on minimizing health risk due to fire in urban areas. And with that, I request and welcome Kishore sir to continue with the session. You are welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Yogita.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asim ji. Thank you very much. Always giving me value that I can
Sir,
speak.
give me a minute. Let me say a few words. My machine was down, so it's always a pleasure to listen to you and work with you. Dr. Jugal Kishore Saab is so kind that always is helping us out in many activities of the institute. He is our regular resource persons and a collaborator with us. He has been, or we are in his collaboration organizing large number of programs, and basically, Jugal Kishore Saab, as Yogita might have told, I could not listen that. He's basically a community medicine person. And what have emerged in this discussion of the previous two discussions is that community is definitely need to be sensitized, and definitely intervention of people like or experts like Jugal Kishore Saab is required. So in this context, Jugal Kishore Saab, you have been invited, and just for the benefit of the participants, Jugal Kishore Saab is basically highly decorated person, and he has been quite extensively contributing to the cause of community medicine and overall the medicine. He is basically Vice President of Indian Association of Epidemiologists and Secretary General of Indian Association of Adolescent Health, Editor-in-Chief, International Journal of Preventive, Curative and Community Medicine, and Managing
Yeah,
Editor
yeah,
of
yeah.
Epidemiology
Thank
International.
you, sir. Thank
So
you very
these
much.
are just few things. I can read for almost half an hour his CV, but I'm not taking that thing. But just the last word, Jugal Kishore Saab has served almost all big names in the hospitals in Delhi. He has served. Uh, Currently, he's with the Vardhman Mahavir Medical College and Safdarjung Hospital. Prior to that, he was with the Maulana Azad Medical College as well as hospital. And before that, he has some instinct with the All India Institute of Medical Sciences as well, and other hospitals in Delhi. So I'm not taking some long in introducing you or saying, but you deserve all these things. Participants has to know about this. And then your
Asim.
topic, as we have already discussed, is how to minimize the risk from fire. So this
Yeah,
is the
totally.
thing which you have been troubled. We have troubled you for that. So thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Asim. Thank you, Asim. So kind of you, and you are so lovely, talking to people about me. Thank you very much, and I also appreciate the all efforts made by NIDM and the leader like Major General Bindal and Dr. Anil. They are doing very good job. So it's a very good and very active team, and I love to work with them whenever the disaster issues come. Now, this disaster include our pandemic, this COVID, and you are facing the problem now. You are at home, as Asim has in the beginning said that when you are at home, you now the winters are coming. You are going to be, warming yourself, and that time maybe I think it can be the problem can be created by your heater or maybe anything which can give rise to the fire. So, if you know what is the cause of the fire, then it is, very easy to minimize it. And I think I was listening Professor Paul Saab, where he said that minor retrofitting of some rupees in the house can decrease the risk of the fire. That is very interesting. And I think there is nothing wrong investing a very small amount of money to make your house safe. So such kind of architectural, modification is always required. But we have to see that houses where majority of the fire occur, that is usually slum areas and highly densely populated, where I think these kind of retrofitting may not be suitable. So we have to look for the new device and methods by which we can decrease those all things. Another problem I have faced that we have created buildings. Usually they are leading to fire, but initially the architects are involved. But later on, like take an example of AIMS, which is the highest premium institute where the health facilities are given. Even we have example of Kolkata hospital fire. So if something happened to these hospitals, it is really a bad thing because there the people goes for their health issues, and if they are have a fire or some kind of disaster occur to them, then it is a double disaster. So what I tried to say that you require some modification of the building later on when it is already created, like so minor changes occur inside the building, and at that time we don't call the architect, but rather engineer people come, and then they just advise that you can do, or you say that I want extra room, or this room can be extended to these open areas and all that. I think they are the very bad thing, and there is no relationship of the engineering and architect. That's again a problem because they don't understand each other. That is why we develop the building, and then all the fire safety areas are occupied by one or other reason, and they become very, very hazardous. So that is what I want to say, that whenever you are making some kind of change in your building, always call the architect so we can have a better perspective that how we can safeguard ourselves and the building can be made fire safe. The urban areas, usually they are actually overcrowded, and because of that, the chance of the fire is much higher. And they are usually informal settlement and slums, which are much in risk. Then there is a high rate of the pediatric burns because in unorganized sectors, or maybe informal settlement where things are not in, like you don't have a proper kitchen, so children are very close to the stoves, and they just put the hand on the anything and they get burned, and the whole house can burn like that. So it is quite common in these areas. The mortality and morbidity is quite high as far as the morbidity is very serious, and the disability is also leading to the fire is also very serious. So that is a problem. Otherwise, the smoke, heat, fire, and odor, these all things leading to various kind of problem in health, and may cause deaths also sometime. Sometimes if the chemical is also there, then we have the problem of toxicity due to the chemicals, smoke. So that is also many times a part of it. Sometimes we have the plastics and other things which can lead to more problems. Now these fire constituents could be the exfoliant. It is causing the breathing problem. So if we have methane, nitrogen, or maybe cyanides or carbon monoxide a very exfoliating agent and leading to fatal deaths because it shift oxygen level. So the oxygen is not consumed by the blood, leading to a lot of problem. Then we have very unusual, maybe unidentified toxic substance could be there in fire, which may lead to some complications which sometimes difficult to be identified. And like we have the problem of cyanide where the smoke was in Bhopal gas, so the gas can create problem. So if we have such kind of gases, definitely leading to a problem. Then we have the irritants maybe there in the form of a acid gas or organic irritants in the smoke, which lead to again a lot of problem. So irritant increase the sensitivity of the respiratory tract, and then we have the cough, and maybe I think asphyxia could also be there. So again, you can have the hydrochlorides or hydrogen bromides or fluorides or oxides, nitrogen oxides and sulfur dioxide and phosphorus, pentoxide. So this smoke may have various gases which have very serious, effect on our respiratory tract. Similarly, we have the organic irritants like the formaldehyde, acrylates. these substances sometimes available in our house for cleaning purpose or for other, so can create problems. The burn injury is actually maybe on various layer of this skin and lead to cell damage, and it could be first degree, second and tertiary or third degree burn, where even you can have the muscles and bones also come out of that. So that becomes a very disabling and very disfiguring type of consequence later on. But the maximum problem is because of the infection and blood loss. So we have to focus on that, how we can control the infection and blood loss. Later on, we can think of repairing the injury. Other ill effect could be your lungs and heart. So in that case, you have chances of premature death because of the heart and lung disease. Or if you already have the lung or heart disease, then you have more chances. You might have the non-fatal heart attacks in the smoke. Then you have the irregular heartbeats, or maybe aggravated asthma or COPD, or maybe I think you have the bronchitis, so it may be aggravated because of the smoke. Then we have decreased lung functions, and it can be short-term and long-term. And we can have symptoms of the respiratory tract where we can have the cough and difficulty breathing, and maybe I think all such kind of problem can arise. In lung particularly, we have very soft tissues, and if we have the toxic substance or maybe heat is there, then our parenchyma or cilia can be damaged, and then we have very much irritations. Sometimes we have the atelectasis. Atelectasis is actually a sudden collapse of the our airways and the lungs, or it can lead to the pneumonia if the inflammation is there, because inhalation of the smoke irritant create a kind of inflammatory changes and can have the pneumonia. Or we can have the pulmonary edema. So edema leading to pneumonia can also be there, or maybe respiratory tract can also give rise to. And because of that, we have the all hypoxia, choking, or maybe the coughing or pulmonary edema leading to deaths. So they are the lung problems. Acute clinical effect of smoke is actually eyes and skin irritations and odor. Sometimes it is very serious, maybe nauseating or vomiting type of odor may be there. So you have another problem, beside the respiratory. It can be irritating nose or throat, or maybe leading to then the wheezing and dyspnea. So more of the respiratory tract. Bronchospasm is a big problem and leading to then atelectasis. Then pneumonitis and pulmonary edema are the serious consequence of it. Laryngeal edema is, where you cannot speak and then, cannot take the breath. That's a larynx, from where the air goes. Larynx is the airways. And opening, if we have again some kind of inflammation, then it is very difficult time. So these are all effect of the smoke. Carbon monoxide, I've told you that oxygen carrying capacity is deteriorated, and then you are not able to take the your body is not able to take oxygen. So because of that, you have the headache and the alertness goes down, and then your heart pump higher and leading to angina if it is pumping higher to flush the blood, reaching to, because every part of the body is seeking for the oxygen which is not available. So the heart is getting signal that more oxygen is required. So it's a very serious, the body become blue in that case. The chronic effect is like, where continuously you have the fire in some areas, then you have the respiratory and cardiovascular. So it is equivalent to like we have the air pollution, continuously having in the air, some kind of pollutants leading to all kinds of health effects. Even our heart is involved, our brain and our respiratory tract, our GI, and also our reproduction is also affected. So even our premature and even newborn babies are affected. So they are having problem. And then we have, the shoots, and also the particulate matter has the effect on our cells leading to even cancers. So that is the level of the effect of our air if it is continuously there in the air. So that is why on the roadside, continuously burning of the things is not good. Or we have the dalao or the big dumping sites where continuously burning of the waste is also not very good, because the nearby people are getting constant smokes from those all fire from their waste sites. These are the areas divided. The first zone, I think sir has already described that there are, how the building is identified, and then you make the zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So it is inside the building, immediately after the building, and then a little bit far away. So these are the areas where different kinds of, exposures are there. So you have to focus more on the definitely zone 1, but zone 2 and zone 3 is also need to be alert, and they should immediately do something to avoid the smoke. The people most at risk is actually those who are disabled, because they cannot run, they cannot, so you have to focus on the people who are disabled, or older person, or children, because they don't know where to go. Pregnant ladies also another risk, people who require support. And person with the heart and lung disease are also very at risk of the urban fires. Urban poor slum dwellers are constantly in, because they live in the crowded place. So these are the people, I think these are the groups should be agitated that how they can escape from fire occur. So and also in education, like in children, at least we can do it in schools, how to deal with the fire at home. So these all things require. Then acute and chronic effect I have already described, and in that case, how to deal with the fire by the disabled person, older person, how you have to help them first, making yourself comfortable, and then helping them. And pregnant lady actually having the effect on not only just baby on their own health, but also the fetus developing in the body, so in the uterus. And diabetic person, a cardiovascular disease, they all have the problem. So the next question is how you are going to minimize it. So during this period when the smoke is there, please limit your physical exertions. That is very important. Cool down yourself and be, relaxing position. So more you exert, more you are going to have the air inside the body. Avoid and keep away from the smoke if possible. If it is not possible, then at least you should avoid exertion. Avoid a smoking situation is the best. Avoid exposure. That's the best one. So that is minimizing your health risk. When it is necessary to work in a heavy smoke, like we have the workers who are working in the smokes, so appropriate respiratory protector is required. They should go inside, or they should be in that area only with the respiratory protector, and not without that. Then another one is the health department may be called immediately for the health first responder, and that is why sometimes it is not possible that health department is available. That therefore everybody should be learning the first aid and the first responder, how they can handle the people who are exposed to smoke, and maybe I think having the risk of the fire. The general public should be aware of it, and then they should be able to handle those who are involved in the fire. Then whenever they say fire and the first responders are there, then you should always follow the advice of the first responder, that they know that how to handle. And then you have to see that how the evacuation is done, and you have to follow those. You should not run your own and try to be much smarter. So one should follow the experts, or maybe person who knows it. Remain at home when you have nearby some smoke is there, or maybe I think fire is there. So remain at home, close your all doors and windows so the smoke should not come. Protective clothing are available whenever you have in the house at fire. So immediately wear those all things and, put your breathing apparatus, and then you should go out. Otherwise, you should not. Then air conditioning should be put off. It should not be on. Then when you are in a car and you are moving into that direction where the smoke is there, then it is better to have the AC which is inside, like the recirculating inside the air. You should put on. No outside air is sucked in that case. So that is the one. Avoid the sport during this period or in the areas where the smoke is there. The games and extreme exertion is to be avoided during this period. Then mask do not work when not fitting correctly. The mask should be properly fit. And I always say during even COVID, we are wearing masks. If it is not, fitting to your mouth, then also the face it has no meaning, because it may not be helping you or maybe making you safe. A smaller size mask if the children are there. If it is not there, then you put some cloth around. Then only I think it is a little bit safe. Otherwise, not. Then avoid dehydration, which is quite common in fire. So keep drinking something. So you are becoming more, because exertion increase, and then you try to be less, then your respiration increase manifold. During this period, or you should not smoke tobacco at all. Avoid wood or coal burning, furnace, all kinds of things where the smoke can come, should decrease that part. And the one is having the better evacuation system. This is the example we have learned in Kolkata fire, where the exit was not there, and then they have to be taken out from the windows. So you can imagine that the way it has been done. So later on, all the hospitals were asked to have the retrofitting outside, the proper method of taking out the patients. So that is what require. All buildings should have such kind of arrangement where it is possible. Identification of injured and respiratory problem is another one. Immediately finding out, providing the first aid, and then transporting to appropriate health facility are saving their life. Otherwise, they die. So respiratory, like increased breathing, how you will identify? Identification is only possible when you know that yes, he's breathing very fast, or he's using accessory muscles, like the muscles of the chest or rib cage or neck are becoming noticeable with each breath. You can see that he's taking a difficult breath, and he's becoming fatigue or lack of energy is shown on the face or maybe on the body. Increased sleepiness is also another example. The flaring of the nostrils and grunting of each breath is another example of showing that this is the respiratory distress is going on. A bluish or purple discoloration of the lips and tongues and other mouths, and even sometimes your heads, you immediately see that the person requires respiratory support and should be shifted to hospital. Then first is terminate exposure, support vital functions. Casualty should be moved in an uncontaminated or the area where it's safe. Rescue ideally should be trained person, but this like NIDM is trying, or maybe I think many agencies are trying that everybody should be trained, so that at least they are able to give the first aid. And this is the national program, so one has to be learning those all skills where we can provide in all conditions, not only just smoke, but otherwise also. And if the person reached to casualty, or you have some arrangement, then 100% oxygen should be given in those cases where the respiratory difficulty is there. Wound care is also very important. Like, various kind of wounds are there. It can be burning by the, chemicals, or maybe acid, or maybe sometime, just, thermal burn. So in each burn, the cool water, or maybe a normal water, flushing with the normal water. You should not flush the water, when we have the injury to eye or some other place where flushing may lead to, sloughing of our eyes, or maybe, the content of the eye is possible. So one should not do that. But in other part of the body, you can flush with the cold water. So it minimizes the damage, or maybe remove the that burn, which is going deep down in the muscles and bone. So immediately cooling down is very important. Then removing the burned clothes, because if it has the nylon or some other thing that continue to remain, there for a longer period, or oil, they should be removed as much as possible. Irrigate with a copious amount of water is a very, very important first aid. If the burn area is limited, then you can immediately put some gauze with the water, and decrease that pain and edema is possible by this method. And treating symptomatically, usually we give, antihistaminic and antipyretic and inflammatory drugs. And also sometimes the silver sulfadiazine cream also help. And many times we use it, but one has to consult the doctor for applying appropriate antiseptic substance. Systematic heat loss and hypothermia is the major problem in the burn. So one has to ensure that heat loss is not there, or hypothermia should not occur when you put a lot of water or you put in cold water. So one should not damage the body by just cooling the. So therefore, appropriate measures should be done to avoid the hypothermia also. The first 6 hours of the injury is very critical. So fortunately, we get the 6 hours. Otherwise, in all the road traffic accident and any kind of accident, it is a first hours is a golden hour where the person should reach to the hospital. But in burn, we have the time where we can transfer the patient to the hospital for the appropriate treatment, like the eyes and dermal, management, where dermal exposure, we have to irrigate thoroughly with the water for 10 to 15 minutes, and then seek the medical advice and see that, you are reaching to the appropriate place. Sometimes the environmental testing is important to find out what kind of gas or problem is there in the smoke. So give you the better understanding that which kind of the organ could have been damaged in the body. So immediate testing, if possible, I think is a better one. So all the fire brigades or maybe I think fire department should have such kind of facility where they can immediately assess the kind of the problem is there, and then appropriate management can be done. Situation warranting environmental testing, is to be understood that where we require proper real-time assessment of the problem. Therefore, the air sampling is required, and we require instrument to measure it. Air sampling during long duration fire, maybe I think a good one. Significant health risk can be managed through that. So in the end, I can say that the best is the fire should not occur. That is the best prevention. If fire has occurred, then try to see that how we can minimize the damage to the body, or say the skin or respiratory tract. And when it has occurred, then definitely we require medical treatment. So before reaching to the medical treatment, we have many things to decrease its effect on the body. So thank you very much. If any question, I'm there to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. You have so nicely explained everything. I think at least I could not find a question, and the participants have just appreciating your presentation. That's all. but my question is that we are in the Corona times, no doubt about this. So how can we take more care in these times, and something like as definitely some questions are there with the RC Sharma Saab and Paul Saab as well. So some your advice for following Corona advice in these pandemic time, though we are discussing this fire thing, but all hazards are correlated. So it's going to be cascading impact if in these times fire is taking place. So your advice, how to protect as an individual, I'm not talking about the bigger thing, but as individual level, what precautions we need to take?
Yeah, in winter, usually it is the family gathering where they enjoy the fire sitting together. So that is a source of the fire. At the same time, increasing the proximity of one another. The transmission of COVID is quite high. when you sit together. So during this period and coming month, we have to avoid such kind of gathering in the house. We have to be separated ourselves. Warming, for warming, we have to find out the other methods of warming. Maybe the hot water is much better as compared to a fire. Putting the fire in the house, or maybe heater. They are not good one. We have now the heaters which are of the oil heaters, which are not causing the fire. So we have to make arrangement accordingly. So I request all the people not to have the gathering of previous years or many years. You enjoy sitting together, eating the moonfully, and so that has to stop this year. Maybe next year you can do it, but these all things should be stopped this year.
So thank you so much, sir, for a nice and wonderful presentation. You have covered all those things, and I hope all of us has to take care of our health, and we have to take all those preventive measures which sir has already mentioned. Not only before that, but even God forbid something happens and we got injured. So he has very nicely elaborated all those things. So thank you so much, sir. Now I shift to R.C. Sharma, sir. Sir, there are a few questions from the participants and few questions from my side as well. So my first question is that how to assess fire at say my house, fire hazard. I want to assess my fire hazard as an individual. I don't want to hire your services as a professional. So what shall I look for?
See, the basic thing in this is, as fire prevention is the prime thing. So prevention is very easy to do. I mean, only thing you have to ensure is that the fire can occur when there is something to burn. So identify in your house which are the things which can catch fire. That's number one. And number two is the possibility of starting fire from some source of ignition, maybe electricity, or maybe in the kitchen you are using something, or maybe just like that electrical heaters or air conditioners. There are possibilities there. In fact, I tell you, in my own office, I was a director of fire services, and in my own office, AC caught fire in the morning, 10 o'clock or so. Since I was sitting in office, so it was just boom, and it started burning. The ventilation blind, which was there hanging in front of it, that car started burning. So immediately, because I was there, I switched off the AC, and with just a glass of water, because I switched off, there was no electricity. I put it and I controlled. But if it was not there, and another few minutes, it would have been a big news in the next day. Chief Fire Officer's office not even safe. How is going to do it with the? So now that sort of thing is possible. So these are the normal things which can happen in our houses. And I've seen many places in the split unit ACs. Normally, I used to consider that to be very, very safe, because you have got only the main unit is outside, and you have got only fan coil unit inside the room. But I've seen the fan coil unit burning due to electrical side. It is left on for very long, maybe many hours. In our secretariat building, we had a fire on a Sunday because the AC was on for 2 days. So that can happen. And burning, if you're falling on a chair, started fire into the chair. And only the 2 chairs were burnt. Nothing else was damaged in the office. So now thing is, in our houses, if we want to really assess what is the problem, identify the area which can catch fire. In the present situation, like we had Diwali last few days back. Now, if something is lying on our terrace, exposed, or in our balcony, a rocket coming from somewhere, I mean, luckily we didn't have much of, but still we had a lot of crackers. A rocket coming from somewhere misdirected and enters your house or balcony, it can start fire easily. So now thing is, do not allow anything like that to be lying in open, which is exposed to a spark from outside or within house or within our facilities in the house. So that's our number one. If we are able to do that, then I think most of the fire hazard is taken care of. Second is safety. I mean, in case there is a short circuiting or something in the wiring, the system should trip. So for that, you have to have safety devices installed in your electrical circuit, like miniature circuit breaker or earth leakage circuit breaker. So these are the facilities which have to be there. But along with this, we came across certain electrical seminars. There we came to know the thickness of wire which we are using in our house, that is of very much relevance. If it's thin and resistance is more, the systems are not going to trip. They are not useful that way, to that extent. So now, having a thin system in the house, so that all our we have got gadgets like your coolers. That should be earthed properly. Otherwise, we may get a shock in the house. So when we want to look our own safety in a house, look for these. We should have 3-pin sockets used for these 3-pin plugs for electrical facilities. Proper earthing should be available in the house. Have the miniature MCB and LCB installed, so that these are normally used, red and blue switches available nowadays, green switches. So that is what is important. And ensure that, especially in the kitchen, is one area where you do have this problem, can have this problem, gas leakage. You must know what you are handling. If it is LPG, it leaks, it is heavier than air, it is going to spread into the whole area. If it is CNG or pipe gas, it is lighter than air, it will go out through ventilator. So that way LPG or PNG is safer than LPG. So if leak is there, we should ensure that there is we do not cause a spark from anywhere. Try to burn the fire or try to switch on or switch off the light. Anything can explode, cause an explosion if we do that. So knowing about your premises, knowing about the fire hazards and safety, what you do, what you don't do, that is most important. And last one more thing. I mean, if you are keeping something which is highly flammable, nowadays we do have like a flit or flit, which we are spraying for mosquitoes. If you use that in a kitchen or in a puja room where is already the you have got a lamp is burning or fire is kitchen is only the stove is already on, you may get a big flash. So don't use these type of, maybe you have got deodorant, or you have normally this hit or for mosquitoes and this thing. Don't use when there is a flame is there already there, because you may start a fire. These are the basic fundamentals.
And there is another question from one of the participants that how effective is RCCBs and MCBs versus the sprinklers? So your comments.
No, the thing is, RCCB and ELCB, they are a device which will prevent a fire to start. If MCB trips well in time, then that is the best way. Fire will not start from that particular instrument or equipment. So that, if that is there, but then again, as I mentioned to you, the important factor is it is not going to be working effectively if your resistance of the wires which you have used is not, it's high. So normally the copper wires which we are using, there are two different types. Normally one is certain percentage, one is beyond certain percentage. So maybe class 1 or 2 or 3, something like that. So we have to use the proper wiring for that. Then only this EMCB, ALCB will work. Otherwise, they may not work. They may not trip as required. So that is these. Sprinkler is something which is for firefighting. So that will come in operation if you have got water in the sprinkler line. It may be coming from your pumping arrangement, or it may be coming from your terrace. So if you happen to be on the top floor, the terrace water pressure may not be good enough. So top floor, you may need a pump near the terrace tank. Otherwise, gravity water is good enough. We hardly need about 0.5 bar pressure. Maybe 2 floors or so. If that much high tank is there on the terrace, that will be good enough for that. So there's quite an effective system for firefighting. Day and night, it's not meant. Something happens, it will take care of that.
Okay, sir. Maybe the last question from my side is that how difficult or challenging is conducting annual audit in institutional setting as well as at individual level. So how cost effective is at individual level and challenging at the institutional level?
Well, if we are able to understand the requirement at the individual level, nothing better than that. Because that you can do if you know what is required to be done, what you require to look for, what are the hazards. If you are able to understand your own hazards, that is the best audit probably. Nobody else can do that better than you. But only thing is, if we are not a person knowing about these things, then knowing few things and saying that it's perfectly all right may not be good enough. So there you need, if you are in a challenging area, just one example that I had a factory fire in a Kirtinagar industrial area where 6 people working in a bench in a garment manufacturing unit, they were burnt. All of their front part of the body was burnt because of explosion. Now going there, I found that I went because the fire was small, controlled, and people were sent to hospital. But I wanted to know why it has happened. I find that they are using a material to remove the stain remover as a stain remover. on the cloth, and then they press it, iron it, and then fold it and keep in the boxes. In that process, they are releasing a lot of material, inflammable vapors into the atmosphere. For that purpose, they have to have proper ventilation system, exhaust fans installed in the particular factory. But none of that is working. The people are not aware of the fact that they should be they're using this maybe that stain remover. So here thing is, spark is there causing from the electrical iron because there is a connector on the end. So they have got a spark next to it. They are spraying the your stain remover, which is inflammable, and you are creating vapor around you. So it's bound to happen. So now audit in such a thing is that these factories are already supposed to be having these things. Initially they had all this, but people running the factory, people using the facilities are not aware of this. So awareness becomes the next thing, that we must know our surrounding hazards, and that is what is important.
Thank you, sir. So now we shift to Professor Paul. Paul Saab, are you still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. There are a few questions to you as well, and I'm just posing all questions together, and then you can discuss at length.
Yeah.
So the first question is that recently that model fire bill has been revised. So your comments on that. This is number one. Number two is you have to tell us in nutshell that apart from community participation or community involvement in the fire risk mitigation at in urban areas, what are the other measures which we have to consider very seriously? And is what are there some solutions for these unauthorized colonies or slums or congested areas? How to counter the fire in those areas? So I don't know. Sharma Saab is laughing and is giving a big smile. So let's listen to Professor Paul.
Okay, three questions. I have not seen water fire bill, so I won't be able to.
Okay, it's okay.
I'm not in a position to answer that.
Yeah.
The other one is let me take the solution, the problem with the slums, and what can be done. You see, it is very easy to relegate that nothing can be done, and we can leave it to its own destiny, as we often do. And but my of course I have not seen many slum fires, but one slum fire which I very closely saw and experienced and analyzed, and of course the other slums, of course I have seen many, but my feeling was to remove them is practically impossible without the political will and the complicated process where larger interests are involved. However, there are always one or the other things keep on happening for the good of the people. So my feeling is that if some access is made available, you see, of course, we can't make it away, all the way through. Somewhere we can reach nearby, and at least make sure that at least we can reach out to that place. There are many places where it is possible, but we tend to allow encroachments there also. But if at least say maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people are living in that slum, at least some effort can be made to make sure that the road which is connecting to that place, at least that can be kept removed from for all these emergency vehicles if something to happen. Why should the ladies still be there? At least get them, kind of cleaned up. That is a public road that can be done. Of course, for that you don't need a very big, political will or something. The other thing is that, there are some seasons where things happen. But again, the problem is during those seasons, if we can reach out thereby in advance, possibly something can be done. But initial stages, I mean, I'm not very sure whether it still exists. But in one case when I saw, there were a lot of these public toilets and that kind of infrastructure. Plenty of water was available. we just did not use the water for the initial stages of fire where the fire was happening in and around that place, and then it flared up elsewhere. So what was this water doing? So all that it needs is to be screened slightly differently when we can find innovative teaching methods, educating people, and all kind of things. Why community cannot be made little more sensitive, that if there's a fire, at least this water can be brought out. So why do we eradicate that these people will always be a negative, etc.? So there, my suggestion is that not to consider is leave it to the destiny is not a good idea. Sharma sir wants to say something, sir.
I'd like to add on to this. That slum fires, it used to be a big problem in the past, but last about maybe 10 years ago or so. Before that, whenever there used to be a big fire, there used to be a large number of casualties. We had in Yamuna Pushta 40-50 people dying in a night fire, in a single big fire. And a lot of people could take refuge in a mosque which was there. Probably those were the days when we had all the thatched roofs and plastic things and all that. But subsequently, I mean, government maybe they allowed to be a pakka houses with some brick wall and all that. And the problem is now it is not the fires, because most of their walls are pakka walls, but they are a very single brick wall and maybe 4.5 inch brick. So they are no problem is they are 2 story, 3 story, 4 story. There are places in Delhi where we had fire in 3 or 4 times, serious fires, one after the other. Every time the access was reduced, because whenever they constructed next jugis, further their passage was reduced. They encroached on the adjacent areas. So access fire brigade is not possible. Entering there is not possible. So probably the new thing, if we are able to stop them expanding, stop them adding problem on the vertical side, that is what is required. Otherwise, the thing is going to be when we are going, if suppose we have a earthquake, that is the biggest problem there. Electrical wire, temporary wiring, that may cause fire as well, and earthquake may cause the building to topple. No access for the fire engines. Forget, I mean, even we have to remove the loads of the material from there on, maybe on donkeys. Even nothing can go inside there. I mean, people cannot walk into the streets. So that is how, I mean, it is area, the slums are no longer there. Maybe small slums along the railway track still they exist. New ones, old ones, where we had a fire is already now done pakka. But here there the problem is, everybody using LPG, most of them. They are using electricity, most of them. So there can be fires, but we are not going to have big fire like spreading to 200, 300, 500 houses as used to be earlier. Now we may have fires, we may have people dying, but the big fires like earlier days, because there used to be rag pickers, plastic waste. I mean, a lot of people, they deal in that. So they bring all these things from everywhere and then they store in their area. And there were small, I mean, crushers for breaking the plastic into pieces, and then sort of a trade was going on in these areas. So that becomes a real fire hazard. So that still it may be going in many places. Again, we have to have a look on that. But yes, it used to be a much bigger risk in the past, maybe 10 years ago. Now the fire risk is there, but reduced to that extent because the buildings are pakka building, most of it. Please.
Paul Saab, you have to make some comments, or shall we move ahead?
I'll just, the third point I will take, but just a small observation that from shanties to pakka did not happen because of the government action or the fire department action or the public people themselves did that. Okay, everything is happening on its own, but my humble submission is that कभी वक्त लगा के इसके ऊपर भी सोचे तो हो सकता है रास्ता हो. My understanding is that this bunch of humanity is left to its own destiny, and it gets its own ambit of protection by whole complicated system. Anyway, we leave that. The second one is this community participation. I think it's a great way to move forward. We have never tried this in particularly in this area of fire safety, but elsewhere in all other areas, community participation, where educating, telling them about some problems. I can't expect that everybody in that area would be an idiot and who doesn't want to listen, and he is so careless I'm sure even if they're 10% people, they can convert another 10% over a period of time. But has that effort been made? So engaging the society, but that engaging the society, I can't expect any government system. I can't expect my department. I can't expect the deputy commissioner or somebody to do it. But to sit with them, it is the public engagement where other societal mechanisms work. Don't we do it for drugs, and don't we do it for alcohol? Don't we do it for many other ills? Engage with the societies. Don't we engage with these communities for everything that program that happens? So why can't we keep on talking to them about fire safety once a week, maybe once in a year, once in 6 months, and see what a few things can. What worth is this discourse where the fire happens and where the source of ignition is, where every year we know that these residential houses will catch fire. So is our discourse reaching to that humanity? No, it is not. So how do we engage with them? So engaging with them, there is no point my telling this audience of 100 people that this is what we do in residential houses for what, unless it reaches out to those people. How does it reach out to the communities? So why can't we that? So but we have not made an effort. Our discourse ends with what is written in National Building Code as a fire drill. Of course, that is required for another purpose. So my feel, and remember, I mean, let me make it very clear. This idea of community engagement is not mine. I have picked it up from the literature, where we all love to go to US and anyway, we admire that civilization. Why can't we pick up what worked there? Of course, they may be far more educated or forward-looking, but our community engagements have success models. Why can't we reflect that, use that, and engage our societies? So that is where my submission and the case for community engagement, campaign, awareness, and looking at the efficacy, what happens. So that is where my case is. So we need to make a shift from the our normal kind of awareness into a proper community. That's my thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for nicely thing. Professor Jugal Kishore, are you still there? Jugal Kishore Saab, are you there? Okay, so
I'm there.
Okay, so only one request. We have already exceeding our time limit by 36 minutes by so far. So what is your takeaway message? Few sentences, sir.
I just want to say that all fires are preventable, and if we learn how to manage the various kind of burn, I think we can decrease the impact of the fire on the body or health. So that is what I feel, that if you are aware of that, immediately what should be done, then it's become easy, you can safeguard. Otherwise, what happened, the disability because of the burn is quite serious and very, very, disfiguring. So that can be avoided. If appropriate, management can be done immediately. And similarly, at the respiratory diseases, which are quite common in fires, so you can avoid maximum. So the first is decreasing the fire instances possible in your office, in your house. There are these small things which can be look after every day. Like when you are leaving the office, you ensure that you have put off everything. If you just keep on, then it is possible that you can get some time fire. And this is quite common in our hospitals and laboratories, where throughout the night and days, the plug on, and there the spark lead to the fires. These all things can be avoided. So it is the responsibility of everybody. Then we can decrease the instances of fire. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your concluding remarks and takeaway for final message. Few words, few sentences at least. You have to unmute.
Yes, it was mentioned that what government is doing for these slums. In fact, government has got a policy that for as per the court orders, to institute development of these slums. So they have taken up some areas. They are creating some multiplexes, multi-story residential smaller houses for them. One Shadipur depot area, one Dholak Basti, they have taken as the first thing, quite big area. So part of that is given to builder for having their own area on use, and part of that is to be developed for their development. So that is happening, but that again is not that easy. There are their own difficulties with the number of people staying in the area and the way they live in, maintenance of the lifts and all that, that they are having some problem in that. So government has taken some decision on that. They are trying to do that. How effective it is going to be, that is something yet to be seen. Okay, I think that was my last thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Paul, Professor Paul, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For your takeaway message from here, sir, and few wise words. All wise words have already been said, but concluding remark and closing of this webinar.
Sir, my concluding remark is promote smoke detectors for early detections in every household, everywhere. It will help you. It costs nothing. Don't wait for the codes to tell you that below 15 meters you should have mandatory sprinklers or something. These are small things. They can be installed anywhere, and make yourself safe. My calculation shows that it's peanuts. But if you can do that, it does not require a huge engineering skill. It is less than what you need to do with the toilet, and everything is possible. Promote it. Don't wait for the codes, the statutory requirements. And buying a dishwasher, nobody told us. Buying something for the safety, installing, nobody is going to tell us. Why can't we do it ourselves? So that is how it's an owner-driven initiative. If we can promote, I think a lot of other problems can get resolved. Yeah, that's my last word.
Thank you so much, sir. But from my side, as we have discussed in the beginning, fire is a real hazard with everyone, either in offices, in your houses, wherever we live. Fire is a real hazard, and we have to give this importance to this hazard. And as Paul Saab said, that we have to start investing as well, those minor things like fire extinguishers, sprinklers, fireballs. Fireball is another very good tool which is available. So many things are available in the market now. A lot of technology has already come, and we can make our lives much easier by installing, by using those things. And we have to get familiarized ourselves with this. And fire hazards are preventable. This is one of the conclusions of this webinar, that with the minor efforts, we can save our lives, save our properties, and save our society as well. So this is the message from this. Let's start investing in fire safety, and this is the way ahead. So let's take it seriously. And fire हमेशा दूसरे के घर में नहीं लगती है, पड़ोसी के घर में नहीं लगती है. मेरा भी कभी कभी नंबर आएगा, मैं भी कभी पड़ोसी बनूंगा. So please don't be that in that mistaken thing. So अपने आप को रियलाइज करिए कि मैं भी किसी का पड़ोसी हूं और वो फायर मेरे घर में भी लग सकती है. So I have to prevent it. I have to take appropriate measures. With this, we just conclude and hand over to Yogita for final vote of thanks and all those things. Yogita, it's over to you.
Thank you, sir. Since we are exceeding our time, let me just be very crisp. But I'm highly grateful to our eminent speakers, because all the, I think, technical session was very clear about the fact that precaution is the best cure for fire safety, and every point was so crystal clear. And in a very layman terms, I think all the participants will agree on the fact that all the technical sessions were very clear, and they must have grabbed some of the key points and key insights and their recommendations very well. So with this, I would really like to thank Shri Ashish Sharma, Professor V.K. Paul, and Dr. Jugal Kishore sir for sharing some key insights on today's topic. I also like to thank our Executive Director, NIDM, Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal sir. He has always been keenly interested on such kind of measures, especially in fire safety, where man-made safety measures and precautions and awareness is the tool, is the right key to step ahead on this. And we also like to thank him for always allowing these topics to reach to as many people as possible through these webinars and training programs. And we hope to continue to have such kind of sessions with us. So in the end, I would like all the participants for which this program has always become a source of learning and interactive platform. I thank you all for showing a lot of interest on this topic. I like to thank in the end Dr. Amir Ali Khan sir, he's the convener of the program, and because he was the one who sent us, who was the one who is the sensitized about this topic, and he knows the right time where to begin with this topic and whom to begin with this topic and who are the right speakers for this topic. So I thank him especially for giving this program a chance among all his busy schedules, that fire is also an important topic. So with this, I like to thank all of them, all of you, and all the participants for joining with us. Thank you so
And
much.
I join you again to thank you as well. This is your show. So you are, and I also join to Yogita in thanking all our eminent speakers. Paul Saab, always pleasure to listen to you. Always. Sharma Saab, I have already told you several times. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. Jugal Kishore sir, it's wonderful to work always. I enjoyed thoroughly all my speakers, and it's great interactive session. And I hope we will continue. And for the participants, thank you so much for sparing that much of time. I can see the interest. The bar is constant, sir. No, many people have left so far. So it's still around 70 is floating. So good seminar, good discussion. And we are coming a few more webinars on fire related topics in coming weeks. So thank you all. And last but not the least, thank you to our executive director, sir, for allowing us doing this series of webinars on different topics, including Fire One. So thank you, sir. Thank you all. And thank you, Yogita, to you once again. And it's a wonderful discussion. At least I enjoyed. I hope all of you and all participants have also enjoyed. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.